Hi everyone, welcome to our second video in our Verbum series on how to use the St. Vincent de Paul Verbum package. In our first video we saw how to create our first layout. We also saw a little bit on how to study a New Testament passage. In this video we're going to look at how to set up our library as well as how to study an Old Testament passage. But first let's pick up where we left off. Let's open the layout we created in our last video. Starting up here in the upper right hand corner, third from right, we're going to click on this Layouts icon and we're going to open the layout we created in our last video. That's this one, English, Greek, Spanish study. I click on it and the layout will open up right here on Verbum. And you can see we have Greek and Spanish along with a commentary here on the right. We're going to start here with verse 31 in Mark chapter 7. And I'm paying attention to this location, Tyre. In our first video we saw where Tyre is located, right next to the Mediterranean Sea when we were looking at the Atlas tool. Today let's learn a little bit more. Before we go further, I want to show one feature about how to pick out corresponding words across the different Bibles or across the different languages. To do that, I want us to click on this triangular three-dot icon, which opens something called Visual Filters. We click on that, and what you'll notice is that we can control in each resource how much we see. So we can see I've got the options checked here to see the Bible text only. I do want to see the footnotes, but if I didn't, I could uncheck that, and you see all of the footnotes have disappeared in my study Bible. But I do want to see those footnotes, so I'll turn them back on. I want us also to click corresponding words. If you check corresponding words, make sure that hover is highlighted, and then I like to check same lemma, that is the same dictionary form of an original language word, a Greek or a Hebrew word, as well as same root. So if I check both of those and then click out of the Visual Filters menu, and then if I go to my Greek Bible, close the search bar, open up Visual Filters, and once again make sure that I've got corresponding words, hover, same lemma, same root, and then click out of it, and then scroll down a little bit here. I highlight the word Tyre, and you can see the corresponding word in the Greek is highlighted, Tyru. Notice here that in English two words are highlighted, of Tyre, whereas the Greek it's only one word. That's because in Greek this is in the genitive case. This one Greek word requires two English words to translate it. This is helpful information if you're learning either Greek or Hebrew, or if you just want to get a sense of how did the translator arrive at the translation. So we do that. So suppose I want to know a little bit more about Tyre. I'm going to come over here just as we did in our first video, and I'm going to open up a Bible word study. Again, very careful to make sure that I've got the lemma, which is the circle icon, highlighted. I'm going to click Bible word study, and one will come up, and we can see here every place this word occurs it's translated the same way, so there's no dispute over how to translate this word. You'll notice under the lemma menu I've got these resources appearing in a different order, and we're going to look in a second as to why that order is as it is. Why is this place important? I can scroll down a little further and click here, Clause Participants. And here you can see there's this castle-looking icon. This tells me that it's a place. I can click on it, and Verbum will open up the Fact Book tool. And here Verbum has collected every significant biblical event that's happened there. And I can see that most of them are in the Old Testament. The first two, David takes the ill-fated census, that's in 2 Samuel and in 1 Chronicles, and Solomon prepares to build the temple. Let's click on this 1 Kings chapter 5 verses 1 through 18 passage. I go there and we hear about Hiram, the king of Tyre. Suppose I want to take this passage from 1 Kings and relate it to the original Hebrew text. Now I need to open up my Hebrew Bible. To do that, I'm going to click, because I've created a shortcut here, I could click on Lexham Hebrew Bible right here. However, if you don't have that shortcut, you can come over here to the library, just as we did in our first video, and we can type in the abbreviation LHB, if you know the abbreviation. If you don't know the abbreviation, all you have to do is type in a search word like Hebrew Bible, and then click the rank button, and you'll see it'll come up and we can open it. While that's opening, I want to point out that when we're searching for resources, we always want to make sure we use this search line, never this one up here. This search bar up here will search everything in your entire Verbum collection, which can be, it's too broad a search for most of us. It also, because it's such a broad search, tends to slow the computer down. So that's usually not the choice we want. So anyway, we now have our English Bible and our Hebrew Bible. We're going to create a link set here, so that way we can, as we scroll in one, the other will move automatically. And again, notice, because I've got my visual filters on, I'll double check to make sure I have them in Hebrew. Corresponding words, hover, same lemma, same root. As I highlight king, I see the Hebrew word, melech. Suppose I didn't know how to pronounce that word. I could do another Bible word study. This very common word, nearly 2,500 times in the Bible. I'll let it pronounce it for me.
Melech.
And we have all of these different options for biblical Hebrew. And you can see the word is translated pretty uniformly, dealing with a king, though it can also be translated royal. Sometimes it has an adjectival function. And if I want to see those options, I can click on that little piece of the pie, and it'll come out of its little parking space there. And it gives me, again, there's a lot of data here, a lot of options. It gives me some passages where that word is translated royal, at least in the New American Bible. And again, if I want to change my translation, all I have to do is come over here to Settings, and if I can want to go, say, to the NRSV, let's see if the NRSV translates it as royal. It does, in fact, but not as frequently. So I click that little sliver will come out of its parking space, and you can see it's translated as royal only 9 times in the NRSV. Anyhow, I want to know a little bit more about what a king is, or what a king does. This option, the Tdot, the Theological Dictionary of the Old Testament, is a very famous and well-respected resource for knowing a lot, not just about what a word means, but about the history of the word, the history and what it means in other ancient Near Eastern languages. So let's click on that option, the Tdot option, and you can see that we have a very long article about everything about kingship in the ancient Near East. The nice thing in Verbum is that it gives you the contents at the beginning, and all of this is hyperlinked, so if we're not interested in what the word meant in Egypt or Mesopotamia or in West Semitic languages or what have you, we can scroll right down to theological usage, the Lord as king. So we're going to go there, and we can learn more about that. So now that we've seen that, I want to talk a little bit more about why we're seeing these resources come up in this order. This is important for all of us to do in our Verbum license, and this is called prioritizing resources. So we're going to click once again our library icon, and for this task I like to create it as a floating window. It just makes it a little easier to work with. So a floating window, maximized. We're going to come over to our vertical 3-dot menu, and we're going to click Prioritize Resources. Very important to do this. And when we're prioritizing our resources, we need to keep in mind 5 main categories of resources that need to be prioritized. We have Bibles, and you'll notice I have them modeled for you here. I've got Bibles, and so I'm going to look at the New American Bible first. This is my preferred English Bible translation. But then I've got the NRSV, and the RSV, and the New Jerusalem Bible, and the Lexham English Bible. I also have my original language Bibles, the Lexham Hebrew Bible, the SBL Greek New Testament. The second category are commentaries, and you'll see I've got different series, Sacra Pagina, as well as the Anchor Yale Bible. And you could have other commentaries here. I have a few others I could throw in here. So we have Bibles, we have commentaries, we have dictionaries. The Anchor Yale Bible Dictionary is an excellent resource. It is the industry standard in studying anything about the geographical or historical or cultural background of the Bible. It's a 6-volume series. It would cost you more than $500 to buy it in hard copy. So everyone should have the Anchor Yale Bible Dictionary prioritized. The HarperCollins Bible Dictionary is a 1-volume series. It's excellent scholarship. It's much briefer. It's not as in-depth because it's only 1 volume, but it was co-sponsored by the Society of Biblical Literature, which is one of the major professional organizations of biblical scholars around the world. The HarperCollins Bible Dictionary is an excellent introduction to different biblical topics, especially if you're really not at all familiar with it. It's a good first place to start so that you won't be overwhelmed with information. The Anchor Yale Bible Dictionary, it's great, but sometimes the entries are so long and so detailed, you don't quite know where to start. We've had Bibles, we've had commentaries, we've had dictionaries, now we have our lexicons. Lexicons allow us to know more about the biblical languages. They're dictionaries that give us insights as to what words meant in their ancient context. So we have here, again, this one you don't have. Hebrew and Aramaic Lexicon of the Old Testament, again, is really the industry standard. It's 5 volumes in print. We also have the BDAG, which is the New Testament industry standard. Again, you don't have it. You do have these two, the Tdot and the TDNT, the Theological Dictionary of the Old Testament, which we were just looking at, and then there's a Theological Dictionary of the New Testament, also excellent. These two you have, and they do the job well enough, at least for what we do in our classes as our exegetical courses. The DBL Greek, that's Dictionary of Biblical Languages Greek, and Dictionary of Biblical Languages Hebrew. Here you can see we've got the Biblia Hebraica Stuttgartensia. This is in the wrong place, actually. I'm going to pull it up here where it belongs. Put it right there behind the Lexham Hebrew Bible. The Nestle Allen Greek New Testament's also in the wrong place. It's been a while since I've done this, so this gives me a chance to fix some things that might not be where they're supposed to be. So we've looked at Bibles, we've looked at commentaries, we've looked at dictionaries, we've looked at lexicons, and then the last thing is anything else, other frequently used resources. A couple I'd like to point out. In biblical studies, Raymond Brown's Introduction to the New Testament, it's a helpful resource. This Apostle of the Crucified Lord is the textbook for my Pauline Letters course. Here we have the Latin and English codes of canon law. Very, very helpful. And you can see I've got a few other resources I've just used a lot, and we could add more. I've got the Missals here, Catholic Daily Readings, this is the Roman Catholic Lectionary, and we could add a number of other things to this. So one thing I notice I need to prioritize is Denzinger. I've gotten that book since I last prioritized resources. So here I've got the Sources of Catholic Dogma. Remember, this is the compendium of dogmatic and other doctrinal statements over the years. This is very helpful when studying systematic theology. So to prioritize it, I'm going to right-click on it, and I'm going to click Prioritize this resource. And it will automatically go to the bottom of my menu, which is fine for what I'm doing. But suppose I want to pull it up a little bit. I just drag and drop. Now sometimes, like here we have this first option here, this is a commentary by N.T. Wright. Because it's part of a series, and you'll know it's part of a series, when you scroll over to the right you can see it's got something in this series field. Here when I right click I have a choice. I can either prioritize just this resource, which is I'm just prioritizing this particular volume on 1st and 2nd Peter, or I can prioritize this series. And when I click that, prioritize this series, you'll see it shows up and it's in bold. Anytime you have something in bold in your resource prioritization menu, that indicates it's a series. So we all want to make sure that we've prioritized the resources we use the most. And what I recommend that you do is go in the order that I've gone in. Bibles, commentaries, dictionaries, lexicons, and then other resources. And please make sure, for what we do here at SVDP, at least in biblical studies, make sure that you have prioritized the Anchor Yale Bible Dictionary first among your dictionaries, the HarperCollins Bible Dictionary second among your dictionaries, and then that you've got the Tdot, Tdnt, DBL Greek, and DBL Hebrew prioritized among your lexicons. Once we're finished working in our library, again, this is a floating menu, so we can simply X out of it. Now suppose, lastly today, since we've been looking a little bit at the Old Testament, I want to create a new layout just for Old Testament studies. Our first layout that we did in our first video was for New Testament studies. Now we're going to do one for Old Testament studies. So I'm going to get rid of a few of these windows and X out of the Tdot, X out of the fact book, X out of the Bible word study, X out of that Bible word study. We don't need our New Testament commentary here. That's not very helpful, so we're going to X that one out. Also, because we're studying the Old Testament, we don't need the Greek New Testament, so we're going to X out of that one. And I want to put my Hebrew Bible over here to be the first one. So I drag and drop, but I'm happy with this. I've got now English, Hebrew, and Spanish. So to save my layout, I click on the Layouts menu, Save as named layout, and we'll call this English, Hebrew, Spanish study. Hit the Go button, and behold, it saves. And then when I'm done, close all panels, and away it goes.